your name. Members of the Youth and Education Committee first, please.
Good evening, guys. My name is Jonathan Fermeira. I'm also a member of this great committee, Youth and Education.
Thank you, Jonathan.
No problem.
Next member, Maria.
Hi, everybody. I'm Maria Luna, member of the community board for many years, and member of this committee for also many years. Happy New Year to all. Hope that we have a nice meeting tonight and in the future. So welcome the new members. I don't know how many new members we have, but anyway,
We'll
we're
go
ready
over
to
that.
work with each other. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Maria. Next member. Guillermo, you want to identify yourself and Luis, please? Are you listening to me?
Oh, I thought. Sure.
Members, identify
Sure,
yourself. No
sure.
one is all of you sleeping
No,
here,
I
please.
thought
Attention.
I thought you're gonna call the members, the official members first, then the public members.
That's what I
you know?
just did. I just did that.
Okay, okay. My name is Guillermo Ali Perez. I'm a community member, but also very proud to be a member of the Youth and Education Committee at the Community Board 12.
Thank you.
Happy New Year to everyone. Wishing you a full, healthy, and blessing 2023 to you and your family.
Thank you, Guillermo. Next member.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Luis Cruz, and I'm part of the Youth and Education Committee.
Thank you. We have a new members, but is Jacob with us? Okay, we will proceed later on. So I guess my turn is just, yes, Jacob. Thank you, Jacob, and welcome.
Yes, hi everyone. Sorry about that. I had some trouble joining. But Jacob and one of the newer members of the Youth and Education Committee.
Thank you. All right, so I just wanted to proceed with the agenda and also to formally introduce. We do have a new members, but we also have members that may not longer be with us. I would like to welcome new member who is rejoined actually this committee, Domingo Esteban. Domingo, you with us?
Hey, good evening, Faye. How's it going? Domingo Estevez. I was in this committee when I first joined the board. So that was like 7 years ago. So good to be back.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. We need it. Yes. I wanted also to announce that unfortunately, our member Michelle Lee will not be any longer with us, as you probably already learned. She has she actually is our the new position that she has. She's our treasurer, so she has joined the executive committee. She's actually serving as a treasurer of the title board. And I just wanted, unfortunately, you know, we lose her, but at the same time, I can see the ladder of moving forward, you know, until, you know, on new leadership, I will say position. And that's what is expected from each member, that, you know, we move forward, we grow. So, and we get to flavor new position, new experience, not to get necessarily stuck in one committee and so forth. So thank you, Domingo, again for rejoining us, and we're looking forward to working with you. So I also wanted to ask our participants. I know we have few guests. I wanted to welcome them as well. I believe that we have Brian Cox from School Safety. Officer Brian Cox, welcome and thank you for joining us. We also have, let's see who else we have here. Let me see if I can see the names. We have Marina Martinez. Marina Martinez, I don't recall Marina Martinez, but she will identify us. Marina, do you want it to, well, before I even conceal you the floor, Officer Brian, did you like to identify yourself for the record, please? Officer Brian, are you there? All right. So in the meantime, so let's welcome Arlene Martinez from the Jazz Power. Arlene, you want to identify yourself?
Yes, hi, good evening, everybody. Happy New Year. Happy and
Happy
blessed
New
New
Year.
Year. My name is Arlene Rodriguez Martinez, and I'm Program Manager of Jazz Power Initiative. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you. And I also would like to welcome Imani Dombia. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing her name correctly, but you will hear from her. She's the education coordinator, and I believe that she is with the district attorney office. So I want to welcome her and also, you know, have her to identify herself as well. So I hope I have pronounced your name correctly. If not, I know I'm going to learn after you pronounce yours. Welcome and thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Faye. Can everybody hear me all right?
Yes.
Great. So you got very, very close. It's Imani Doumbia. So thank you for trying.
Pronounce it again.
Imani Doumbia.
Imani Dombia.
Yes,
Thank you.
So thank you for trying. I'm very excited to be with you here all this evening. As Faye mentioned, I'm an education coordinator at the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, and I work in the Community Partnerships Unit. Part of my role is to come out in the community and get to know folks like you all, so we are hearing on the ground what your public safety concerns are. I work primarily with youth, and we go into schools, give presentations, have internships, mock trial programs, and a bunch of other youth and educational programming. I'm also the point person for DOE District 6, which is Washington Heights and Inwood. So I will be your go-to person for any public safety concerns you have, and we're going to do our best to try and address them. So you'll be seeing my face a lot more often, and I look forward to getting to know each and every one of you and building partnerships. Thanks, Faye.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we have Maria Martinez. Marina Martinez. Yes, Marina Martinez.
How are you, everyone? My name is Marina Martinez. I'm the Community Engagement Specialist from Literacy Inc. Literacy Inc. provide services for parents with children 0 to 5, and we want to make sure that we teach parents the skills and learning skills how to create habits, creating habits for the children. And I work with in Inwood at Washington Heights.
With who you work with?
I work in the communities that I work with is Inwood at Washington Heights, and I came to this meeting because I want to make sure that I meet with new partners, and also one day probably have a presentation with our for our program in this committee.
Thank you very much. Last but not least, let me try again. Officer Brian Cole, are you with us?
Hi, everyone. I'm actually in place of Brian. I'm Captain Michael Skelski with the School Safety Division.
Yes.
So I'm here to talk about the radios once it comes up, to explain what's the process and what's going on with that. Wonderful.
Thank you very much. Yes. I'm going to go on the unfolding of the agenda. So we will take it from there. So as many of you probably, when you receive the link from the board, you probably already receive as well, probably you get to review our agenda. As you can see, we already did the number one, which is a welcome and introduction. So preceding that, we're going to have our committee reflection and performance towards 2023. That should be a brief discussion. I actually, we were waiting for a few presentations, 2 presentations actually, including the safety, but since we have to submit the agenda, so by the time that we submit the agenda to the board, we didn't have a school safety on the agenda, but I'm glad that they are here. So following the committee discussion for performance toward 2023, which is basically about the topics that we wanted to consider for the years and reflecting what we have done during the last year, 2022. So we're going to follow immediately to the old and new business. And there we're going to have a school safety. And then we're going to have also a few announcements from some of the guests that are accompanying us. And of course, at the end, so our meeting was going to be adjourned. So I wanted to start the topic of community reflection and performance as a reflecting exactly what we have done during this past year. And I would like to start by saying, but I want to rely more on my colleague, because as a chair, I feel that you want to hear more from our own colleagues, especially those that has been in the committee for a long time. Jacob, I think it's not really much that maybe he may wanted to volunteer regarding reflection, because he just joined us recently. But Louis, Jonathan, and Maria, whatever comment you wanted to probably share in terms of reflecting on the things that we did, our work, the discussion that we had, partnership that we have built. This is something that I highly encourage that the public can learn from you. And then after you, definitely I will, share a few things. So Maria, I don't know if you want to volunteer reflecting in your thoughts, exactly the functionality of this committee, the things that we had accomplished, things that you think that, we actually had accomplished. And I wanted to start with you, Maria, or Louis, whoever's want to volunteer.
Okay, thank you. Just to give an idea to the people who are here on this meeting, I've been on the board since 1982. So that was way before all of you were born.
That's my
Second,
yes.
I was the one that put this committee together when I was the chair of the board in 1989. I chaired the Community Planning Board 12 until 1991. The committee was not a committee as per se, it was a task force on education. What we did was to get information from the district seats. Many of you also don't know that community boards, the education committees started in 1966. So there was really no part of Community Board 12. But we got information as for the education system regularly at the community board. In order for us to make sure that all the schools within the district were in compliance with the regulation from the Department of Education. For the last about 10 years, the education department is not on, it's an individual independent agency of the city. So we as Community Board Education and Youth Services Committee are only advising, but really not recommending anything directly to the City Council, because the City Council have nothing to do with the Department of Education. I think it may be a little confusing for people who are not in the education system. But we as Community Board 12 Youth Services and Education Committee can recommend, come up with resolutions, motions, and ideas, but that doesn't mean that the Department of Education is going to implement any of our ideas or recommendations, because they have their, as I said before, their independence, and they're not even part of the political system. They are only referred to directly to the mayor and not to the public advocate and so on and so on. So it's a little complex of what we can do within our committee. And I give credit to Faith because she has been an advocate for education for many, many years. Also trying to get some of the issues that pertain to the education system to be education tools for community board members. So that is a double hat that she shares, because it's just the community board chair at the Youth and Education, but also educating the member, the 50 members of the board, as to what happens within the education system, even if we have no voice within the Department of Education. It's a little complex there, but we need to make sure that all of you understand that I'm the executive of this particular community board, understand that as a committee, we do everything that is really necessary for everybody to be educated and informed, but that doesn't mean that whatever idea we can come up with is going to be implemented within the education system of District 6, which is the district that pertains to Community Board 12 that start from 155th to 18th Street, or the Community Board 6, the Community Education, the Board of Education Community 6 goes all the way down to 133rd Street. So it sounds a little complicated, but it's not. Now, I have said in conversation with Faye that she has to make sure that each one of us that are sitting on this committee knows the importance of bringing information that we may be aware of things that are happening within the District 6 education system here, so we can at least alert and make sure that whatever advice or recommendation we may have goes to the right person, right to the superintendent, and goes to each of the schools within our system. As also a member of this, for a long time, the Youth Services Committee, which is part of our committee, needs to be more engaged with those agencies within our Community Board 12. And I say Community Board 12, from 155th to 218, to make sure that we understand and we are aware of some of the agencies that are giving services to our youth outside of the education department, such as the arts, sometimes the sports and things like that, can come to us with information and what is lacking in our community, because if you know the youth is extremely important to us, we need to make sure that everybody is really informed of the opportunities within our community board. And also, if we want to make sure that we can expand those services, that we can be a tool from them to get help as economic support for expanding those services to our youth. One of the things that also Faye have been doing is working with the police with a great program that she has every year. And maybe, Faye, you want to say that, toward the end, but of the bridge system that you have, bringing police and community together, that is a real great tool that the police department also is using to expand the relationship between the youth of our community and the police. So I think I'm going to leave it there. I don't want to monopolize, but I just giving you an idea that we may have resolutions, and those resolutions are not going to be really effective because the city council doesn't take them as seriously as they should. One of the things that we need to do is also try to get the representative, the city council people from our community, the number 7 and number 10, to come to our meetings at least once a year, or send their representatives to know what what we are doing, because I don't want to make sure that, I don't want them to think that we are not doing enough to bring that information between city council members and our community board members. So I'm gonna leave it like that as of now, because I see new faces and new people, and we want them to stay with us. We want them for you to come back to give us information, as much input that we can get from each one of you will make the work of our committee much better. So
Thank you,
that's,
Maria. All right, so who next wants to volunteer? Jonathan, you want to volunteer, say something, or Louis, or Jaco, if you feel inclined, by all means, whatever you had experience in, or you want to share with us, or even your personal view in terms of the functionality of our committee, the things that we have discussed and embraced, or you have witnessed, whether you have not been part of the meeting, but something that you wanted perhaps to discuss or share.
I don't personally have too much to add, but would just like to say that I really appreciate Maria Luna's comments on the history of this committee and better understanding our goals and purposes here. I think that was a really wonderful overview of how we arrived where we are today and what we can do moving forward, and I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you, Jacob. Luis, you want to say anything?
Sure. I would like to think one of our goals for this year should be having our youth more involved and engaged on our youth and education committee. Bringing the youth to these meetings. Contacting the school community. That way, the youth leaders from the schools or their student government, or any young man or woman that wants to share their concerns, they can come up to this meeting and present them, as well as I think in the past we had the youth panels where we bring the youth from different schools so they can share their thoughts and ideas on how to make better relationships between the police and the community. But I know so many talented young men and women that are willing to come to this meeting to share their thoughts and ideas. So another problem that I think we have is that sometimes we're trying to develop a topic, and some government agencies and some organizations don't answer the emails. So we need to create a way in which they can, in which we have more response from those agencies and organizations, because there are a lot of issues in our community that we need to address regarding to our youth and regarding to education. And the best way to solve and to come with a plan is by working together. And that's it. I think we should go back to the youth panels. We should do like an in-person meeting and contact all the school community, all the schools from the community board, 12. That way we can have youth participation. Thank you.
Thank you, Luis. Guillermo, you want to say anything? Are you with us, Guillermo?
Looks like he's frozen. I would like to add something.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well said by Maria and Luis. All right. I just want to second what they said and also add that, yeah, we attempt to address a lot of our youth issues during the entire last year. And no many resolutions has passed during such year because of the explanation Maria was giving, right? We need some more attention from the board, right? And from the to remember his name. But yeah, we need representative from their office to participate in some of our meetings. Also, one of the most important things that youth are interested in is more participations in some of the programs out there available on different schools, institutions, and institutes, right? That are available right now, and for some reason, not all our youth is aware of it. All right, we know the lack of communication institutions have between youth and them. Me myself, I know there are a lot of very, very good programs out there available in school and for free. All right, for free, and we have to find a way of how to deliver this information, and on a, I could say, in a timely manner, because time is very important, right? Sometimes when our youth receive the information about some courses or any available programs, the program just has end, or they cannot join it because they are late, right? And I think this is one of the points that we can add this year, right? Kind of gather all of the available program in our community, right? From different schools and other institutions, like I said, gather all of these available programs and have some, I will say, webinar or I could say any type of meeting, right? Where we can let them know all these availabilities out there. That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Jonathan. All right. Since Guillermo, I don't know if he's still with us, but I think that
looks like he's frozen.
Yes, probably. So I want to thank you all for volunteering your thoughts, and it's very important to to learn about your view, because I know sometimes the chair feels so much pressure in making sure that we execute agendas, minutes. And sometimes I can speak only for myself and about the following comments that I wanted to volunteer is that we can only ask and ask, but we cannot force no one to take that extra mile that sometimes, we need to materialize whatever topic, subject, agenda, or issue we wanted to address. But I can tell you that we have been able to manage to develop a great relationship in our community. We have a tons of partners partnership that we have developed that we didn't have, at least when I first came to this committee back in 2010. Not counting the year that I actually used to be in the office. I spent 1 year as a volunteer in the office, just studying what was the dynamic in the board to find out whether or not if I wanted to be part of the board. And in that year, I really fall in love with it. I say, this is the place where I wanted to be. And ever since, I've been part of this, the board, and, I have seen so many folks comes and go. But one thing consistently that I think that I am very proud to say, which has been every year, is the task of bringing the board to the community. Because back in 2010 and prior to that, the board didn't go outside. We are the first committee that started going and encouraging the board to come outside, starting the first committee that initiated the first public event, if I'm not mistaken, which actually the first conversation was about bringing clarity among parents and the students about the topic of charter school when it was arising in the community, which was a great concern for everybody. So we, the committee that had the first conversation to educate parents, and taking the position that although many folk has different view in that respect, but we make clear that this is a parent decision, not individual decision. And this is something, at least personally myself, position that we have to sustain up to today, because both systems can coexist. So, and I wanted to say that building relationship, in the community, I feel very proud of my committee and my entire board, of course, for making that a reality because of the collective effort that we have all working like the bees that working, that work together. We have been able to make wonderful, partnership. As a result of that, we've been partnered with the Dominican Council, with CUNY the Heights. We've been part of course, NYPD, many local prisons, community affairs that being so supporters. Organization like Harlem Mothers, Harlem Mother Safe, I think. We what is her name? That Jackie is being tremendous, partnership. We've been advocating in every possible occasion that we have been invited, and we've been taking issues, and basically run with it and advocate. One thing that I can say is that, when it comes to defend youth, to defend the position, especially when it comes to the education, I think that we've been very vocal, perhaps not at the maximum, I would say probably performance that we wish, because one thing we have to be honest is that working in team has never been an easy task, because sometimes you wanted to do something, but your colleague may not be able for whatever reason. They have family, they have commitment, they have to, But I think the action of one individual, if, for example, if Louis, if Jacob, let's say there is a particular matter that requires the presence or representation of the community, the committee, and even including myself. If not all of us are there together, but at least one represent, that's mean the committee, actually is there, has been there. And that's something that we have done throughout many, many, many years. But in particular, for this past year, I think that we have a great extended, if not, we have built a great relationship. The number had increased tremendously, I can say that. And that's something that I'm really looking for, not only my committee, but the board as well, because I know the board, all our California other committees, and whatever role they being exercising, they have outreached tons of organizations. And even either is through a subject, or either that they may have had a committee or invite folks from different organizations to expose whatever issue. I think that's another way that we can say that we are building a relationship. This year we have Columbia University, the hospital, Metropolitan Hospital, and many organizations supporting our initiative of Youth and Police Building Bridges, which was something that I brought up back in 2015. And we've been ever since, consistently having that annual event. But moving forward, I wanted to also touch bases in what should be at the center of everything that our work evolve. So since our role is to keep the community or mission community informed, or part of our mission of this committee is to keep the community informed, especially on any issue pertaining to education, pertaining to youth. This committee already established its own mission, and I think that we've been faithful to that. We've been very active. But one thing that I wanted just to highlight today is speaking about where we are moving this year, because we already, whatever with this is in past tense, but what is important, looking at the present situation, the state of education today, there is so much that we can do together. And I wanted just to highlight a few things. So I wanted to say, or to begin to saying that as an advocate of education, I really believe that our education system, has a lot of room for improvement, despite all the challenge that that this system is facing. Because we know that DOE or the school system, whether we're going to bring it at local or state level, because at state level is more about the rules also and funding that which is where everything gave birth, or where the real thing start, I should say, in my personal opinion. Not of course admitting the role of the city council that has so much to decide in our in our local system. But I wanted to say that the system, it has so much room for improvement, besides all the problems that it's facing. But for some reason, they have not been able to come up with an effective plan to put our school, in the right direction, and that's something that we all hopefully, can agree. And of course, this is my opinion. Literally, what I am saying is that this system is facing it's a broken system, and although it's broken, many of us can see so much room for them to do the right thing, to fix things, and so that things can operate, much better than exactly what it is. So many of us feel like that tons of the bigger problems with our school system is that the students, the vast majority of our students, are not learning as much as they should. And not only something that I am saying, but many folks throughout my career, my experience, even when I used to work in the Department of Education, that's something that many teachers, they had a knowledge, of course. And yes, students are not. I have witnessed students in middle school that the reading level, the writing level is not up to where they're supposed to be. As a matter of fact, according to even many, I should say, public sources, they believe that this problem may change vastly depending on who is labeling them. You know, whether it is the students that, you know, agree with this, parents, educators, or even the lawmakers, but they agreed on this. So here are a few things that I believe, and many agree, that are some of the challenges that the system, you know, is facing, and these are urgent problems that is being lingering like forever. So, for example, bullying, we all know that this is a huge problem in the school system. Class size is something that even our committee has been advocating many times, and we had even invited folks like from class size, the executive director, to speak at our committee twice or three times, if I'm not mistaken. One of the problems also that I know that it's in existing is the parental involvement. This is a huge problem as well. Technologies, as you can see, poverty, it's another problem. Family factors, student health, specifically the obesity. And we know, and we heard many times that they're gonna change the menu, but you know, I just only throw in a few things in there so you can think about it and see which are some of these things that we can actually, you know, probably address, because all we can do is serve as an advisory, you know, body, give opinions, advocate, and so forth. So I want also to say that the student attitude and behavior is something that needs to be attended to. It's something that deserves more conversation. The legislation that was passed during the, I think it was a Bush presidency, the No Child Left Behind. I don't know, but this is not really moving probably as the rate that is supposed to, or bring the changes for which this legislation was implemented. And of course, the big elephant, you know, that we are facing, you know, in the past years, the funding cuts. You know, in June, the school system actually was facing the funding cuts, in which many of our leaders have been fighting. Senator Jackson was one of the leaders that have been fighting, along with many of our, you know, other leaders as well. And last, I wanted just to add that we need to take a close look at the what is going on with the traditional education and charter school, because the sentiment that is right now is that a lot of students are leaving the traditional system and moving to charter school. What is the reason for that? So it must be something very attractive for charter school for many parents to you know, to switch, to go into charter school. And I wanted to say that among all these challenges that I am sharing with you tonight, hopefully we might be able to address throughout this coming year. Hopefully, I favor it to start with the bullying, which it's something that, you know, we should definitely have a serious conversation to see where the department is with this, what they are doing with this. And yes, I also would like to have or encourage my colleague to consider it, revising the conversation, which was the DOE versus charter school, which we had it back in 2011. Remember, we actually, at that time, we were the first committee that brought up this conversation. And a lot of people were very appreciative for this, you know, conversation to bring it up, that subject. But I think it's time already to find out exactly what is going on, you know, in that area. So again, charter school versus DOE or vice versa, and bullying, this is something that I think we, or maybe other suggestion that you wanted to want to consider, but I wanted you to think about those things, because these are some of the challenges that I had witnessed. I have even researched those. And I can tell you, I can be until tomorrow and maybe next month talking about each of them. But I guess this year we can probably, start getting more committed to, to look at these challenges. So to see in which capacity we can, bring this conversation, educate the community, and advocate for those issues I wanted to say. But this is just, my opinion. But of course, whatever you think, I'm fine with it. But this is my suggestion for all of you for 2023. And we have to also be more committed to pass resolution, which is something that we have not done much. But this is something that I'm really looking for. And granted, many times we don't have even quorum, but I'm looking forward to having members this year. Now we have a new members, be more committee and be more, on top of this. I always had encouraged member to chair committee, because I always had seen the opportunity for folks that aren't with us today, that tomorrow they become chairs, they become leaders. I'm not gonna be chair, all my life, of course not. I think I have many years, and I would like to see other folks also sharing, committees. But how we start doing that, you have to show commitment. You have to show that you really care for this. You have to be more vocal. It's not the chair talking along or the assistant chair or whatever, but you have to be committed. You have to write minutes. You have to propose agenda. And all this has been facing all of us. And, but yes, so question. I guess that I'm sorry if my topic was too elaborated, but I really wanted to come up with something solid. And I hope you agree with me in terms of some of this issue that the department is, our children basically, are the other subject on all this. So, hands up. Yes, Maria.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Listening to Luis Cruz, who is I think he's the youngest member of our community board.
Yes.
I believe. Right, Luis? Anyway, I was wondering if he will be willing to speak
Yes.
to some of your young friends and see how willing they will be to come to some of our meetings, to Zoom in, and so we can hear their thoughts about what is lacking and what is not lacking for them. I would really like to, hear from the young people as opposed to all of us talking, I'm saying the same thing over and over again. So if you recall also, Luis, there is a way to be involved in the community board. You have to apply. They are not going to give us a lot of slots of the 50 members of the community board. They're not going to load this thing with very young people, especially when some of the young people have to have the permission of their parents or whoever they live with to attend meetings in the evening when they should be doing their homework and so on and so on. So would you be willing to speak to some of your friends, invite them over? We can hear them in one of our next meetings and see what the perspective from their side, as opposed to just listening to all people like me. So would you do that and, take a look and see how, you can get some of them involved? I recall that there was a very big issue for many years started by Al Kellan to get young people to be able to be part of the community board since they are like 16 years old, and it just didn't go too far. Only few community boards accepted members that young. But maybe you can help us with that, Luis. you have a great ideas. I think that we can, especially listen to you, listen to the young people's sides and the needs, because the Board of Education is not going to do it. The federal government sends money in, the state takes the money down, it doesn't come down to the levels of the education, which is primary and maybe upgrading a school system that we have. So maybe you can, I'll be happy to hear some of the young people to let us know what is it that they need and that what they want. Okay.
Sure, absolutely. One of the reasons that I joined to the community board is to motivate other young people to join. If I can do it, you can do it as well. I think one of our goals, like I'm going to restate my statement again. One of our goals is to engage, have more youth engagement on our meetings by going back to the youth panels, if I'm not mistaken, Ms. Florimon, where we invite the school community to attend. It was on Saturdays, right? On Saturdays, to those panels to discuss issues that are affecting the community. That's what I
suggest. That's what you are suggesting?
Yes, that's what I'm suggesting.
Yeah, well, for members that I know Domingo, because Domingo have participated on that. And thank you, Maria, for bringing that up. I think that's a great suggestion. But I wanted to say that, yes, because prior to having the opportunity to meet via Zoom, remember that the one of the ideas that this committee came up with is because when we used to meet in person, unfortunately, parents and even students, they can't come to a meeting in person at 7 o'clock on a Monday. And that's why we decided to, we came up with the idea to have an extra meeting on Saturday morning. So we have breakfast with parents and we invite youth. And we used to have several, many different topics. We used to have a lot of panel discussion, but all were centered in youth. Youth and parents were the subject of that meeting. The main, the reason basically for which we came up with this, and they were the dominating force in those meetings. Unfortunately, since the passing of our Cali, at Isabella, we no longer have access to Isabella. But I think that since we have now the ability to meet virtual, we can also come up with that idea and try to engage youth again. Louis, I'm sure that he had no idea at that time whether or not he wanted to join the community board, but he used to be one of the youth that used to participate in those panel discussions. And look, today we have him as a member. So same thing can be replicated, with other, folks, youth and in our community. Youth that participate also in the Youth and Police Building Bridges. This is something that I definitely would love to have. And I want also to mention that, did you remember the orientation, how many orientation I put together, inviting the Board of President to speak about how to become members? They all were youth, and we had tons of young people coming from George Washington. But I remember in several occasions, we had many of them applying, and the Board of President did not approve their application. So a bunch of them got discouraged, and guess what? So they didn't join. So, and then last I abandoned, the subject to continue doing those orientation. For whatever reason, I say, well, maybe we can find other way how we can engage them. But so far, the conversation had only happened within at the level of Youth and Police Building Bridges. But I think and welcome definitely the idea that if we as a young, Phil wanted to take that lead, that would be just wonderful. And whatever we can do on our side, Domingo works with a lot of youth as well. I know tons of youth as well in many schools, and that I actually help in that respect. But I think, Maria, this is an excellent idea. And Luis, definitely, I would be glad if you wanted to pitch on this. I wanted to, I don't know if you have something else to say. I know Domingo want to have his raise, his hand up. So do you want to add up anything else, Luis? Well, okay, Domingo,
No,
yes.
not at the moment.
Okay, thank you, Domingo. Domingo. Thank you, Luis and Maria. Yes, Domingo.
Yeah, I think to move the conversation forward, I think I hear how it could become overwhelming doing a lot of stuff by yourself, but I also think it's important to try to figure out what everybody in the committee is passionate about, what particular area they see themselves working within, and try to develop some sort of around that, right? Because while I understand charter schools and a lot of different big bucket items, I also think we got to be cautious of also really understanding that we have a lot of resources within our community, that we also have to identify where they're going, how are they being utilized, and if they're truly creating the impact that they're supposed to within the community. Because as somebody who works within a school building, I could tell you this community doesn't lack resources, it lacks vision. And I think a lot of that is getting people to truly understand that I don't want to say we have resources in abundance, but we have.
Did we lost you? Domingo? We cannot hear you.
You hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you. Thank you.
Yeah, so I don't want to say where we have resources in abundance, but we have enough resources to make an impact within our community. And I think as we plan for the year, I think there's the big bucket items that are going to require a lot of attention, a lot of alliances to be able to generate enough advocacy to be able to make some noise around it. But I also think there's local stuff that we could address as far as like being able to understand what's within our community and how it's being distributed. And I think as a community board, that's something that could be addressed quicker. Yeah, it's doable, and it's not going to require so much sweat equity. Then as far as young people, I understand we have Luis here, but I don't believe in tokenizing anybody to be able to speak for anybody else. If we create the space, they will come. So all I would say is when we talk about youth and bringing in their voices, as long as we create a space that respects their voices and that's welcoming to them, I guarantee you they will come. Now, for example, what Luis could be a leader of is being able to support this committee in identifying certain schools that could be outreached to and make him the point person, something like that. But I don't necessarily believe in one individual being able to speak for everybody as far as like, let's put all of that on Luis. When Luis has great ideas, let's talk about what ideas Luis has and helping him with them. I think that's a different approach that could be a bit more supportive towards him. But I think we should be moving forward around like what should be the plan, the long term versus the short term, and being realistic around what is the sweat equity people are willing to invest into this so we could get stuff done this year.
Yes, thank you, Domingo. And yes, I think Domingo made a very important point, and I think that's something that we definitely needs to make it clear. It's not that the committee is going to solely depends on Luis and outreaching youth. I think you can be some sort of like a liaison, but saying that you are a member of the committee, I think is basically sufficient. But I think we all may want to throw our pebbles in there or per se to, make the effort so we can all work together and see, because I know all of us, I'm sure that we need an organization that work with youth and how I think that the next thing is exactly to develop a plan how exactly we're going to do this outreach, but exactly for what purpose. So, for example, I think what we used to do and bringing youth to, to express on issues that, is affecting them, it's a great way to engage them. I'm sure that, and I have learned that, for being in, by being involved with them, that they love to have the opportunity to express themselves. So where they can see that they have that freedom, that leadway, so where they can feel in charge. So, and we have to create that kind of momentum for them so they can have the opportunity to speak about whatever issue, they want to volunteer, or they wanted to say that they wanted to share. So let me give you an example. Bullying, I mentioned that bullying is a conversation that we definitely should address. If we can have a panel discussion about, young people, let's say high school students, and we can gather the thoughts, we can come up with questions to address, and even asking them among those questions what a solution that they may see on that, what is causing the problems, so we can kind of get or allow them to facilitate exactly in their view what exactly is causing the problem, if they see any possible solution to the problems. And from there, I'm pretty sure we all, collectively can put our head together and feather whatever, decisions or opinions or recommendation they may come up with, because at the end of the day, it's just about having them or open for them the path where they can express themselves, where we can learn from them exactly what is it that is affecting them. Because I'm sure there is tons of students that they would appreciate the opportunities to speak up and many things that we cannot imagine. I just lay out a few things that I think are challenges, problems that are facing, our school system, and among them, whatever, the committee, the majority thing that we should address, definitely we will address. How we going to address, that's a separate conversation. And I think that we can have we don't have to wait for the monthly meeting to decide things. We can have a conversation in preparation for the next meeting or for the next event and so forth. What exactly is it that we are going to do this, and who's going to be involved? And as Domingo also said, we have tons of resources available. Resources could be even other organizations that we may bring in, that we wanted to partner with them, or to do, events with them, or to do whatever kind of a task or initiative that we may come up with.
Yeah, fair. Like that, for example, bullying, right? And this is why I try to say, like, for instance, every school has bullying programs within them already. So as opposed to doing a conversation around bullying, we should try to identify first what schools have these programs, what programs do they have within these schools, and the impact that these programs have generated within their school population, before we engage youth in a conversation about bullying that there's already programming for, as opposed to us understanding within what context is bullying being dealt with within the institutions. And I think that makes our jobs, now I don't want to say easier, but we have a clearer understanding of like what's happening at the ground level before we engage youth in a conversation that we might not necessarily understand at that level what's going on. Like, okay, so let's say, for instance, at PS 132, we have a program called Upstandard with the leadership program. What does Upstandard do? What type of impact has it had on the school culture? And I think that's what we engage in before we bring in youth to talk about bullying, without understanding what type of interventions are being conducted in their schools.
Correct. Well, yes, I think for what I understood, I think it's basically getting to know exactly the program, what the school is offering in terms of bullying, so we can have like a more ample understanding and then take it from there. Yes, and I think we can even do a comparison with even other schools that may have the high level of bullying and, you know, high problem and or serious problem in bullying, because I'm sure that there is some schools where bullying is more intense than others. So we can have a conversation, we can learn from those schools, we can even invite those schools, or we can actually go or visit those schools and have a conversation so we can learn from them and learn about those particular programs that you mentioned that some of them have. And then we will take it from there. It's basically like we can create an assessment of the program that they are given, you know, to students, and then from there we can deduct, you know, what would be the next level, what we're going to do now that we have that information. For example, one of the things that I personally would love to know exactly, since the implementation of the bullying program that they are having, how effective this program has been, because you have tons of organizations that they implement a program, but they never measure the program. And if they don't measure the program, so it's hard to say how successful those programs, you know, has been. So it's just to give you an example, you know. So anybody else? Thank you, Domingo. All right, so I think that nobody else has any question.
I think Emily Malte had her hand up.
Let me see whose hands.
No, it was addressed. Faye mentioned like what I was about to ask, if there's any way to measure bullying before and after implementing a program, and to see if that one is the most effective based on like demographics, XYZ and all that. So it was.
So the way they measure it right now is by the there's like reports that are done every time an incident happens. So these reports are basically conducted right after an incident occurs. They're investigated to make sure like what harm level was caused, and then the principal, the dean, or any administrator takes basically figures out what consequence was the result of that. So there's a DOE report that measures the incidents that happen in the schools, but I don't think they could share that.
Good luck with that.
So if they can't share that, which like, I mean, I understand confidentiality, but how would we know how to like use that model somewhere else so that other schools could benefit from it?
Well, I wanted to say that from experience, schools are very careful in terms of volunteering information, especially when it's something that can hurt the system. They're very careful with that. You might be more prompt to maybe having a conversation with a principal, and even the principal is going to be, you know, more, I guess, maybe you may get more information from the principal if you have a conversation one-on-one, perhaps. But even the principal as well are instructed to be also careful as to how they volunteer information. I think that the best way might be going to the superintendents. They all part of the same family, in my opinion. And they all going to be careful, whatever, you know, they volunteer to the public. But I don't know to what extent the local prison or school safety get involved when it comes to those issues. Like, for example, if there is a particular issue, let's say a school that have a high level of bullying, and in which school safety is involved. So I don't know exactly if a school safety, to what extent they did this report that they come across, they can share with the public or with a particular, you know, organization. I don't know, maybe a public official or city council, not sure, not sure. But I cannot tell you exactly with a
But
sanity.
it also depends, Faye, on how you define bullying, because there's incidents that some kids might consider bullying, which technically it's not. You know, like there's situations where a kid might say, I don't like the color blue, and you got a blue shirt on. And a kid might perceive that as bullying. That might not necessarily be bullying, but the kid perceive that as them being bullied because the person said they didn't like the color. They don't like the color blue, and as a result, they don't like the person's shirt. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's like
Perfectly
when we
well.
talk about bullying, we have to be
It's
very
matter
careful.
of opinion. In that case, it's just matter of opinion. But we know
Exactly, but kids don't understand sometimes the difference between what bullying is and what an opinion is. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes when we talk about bullying, there might be an incident that escalated because of an opinion that resulted like in a fight that can't necessarily be considered bullying, though. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying that sometimes situations arise where the kid might go home and say, I'm being bullied at school, but the situation escalated from an opinion, not from being picked on, which are two totally different things.
Well, I think the nature of the report can speak by itself, because any incident in which two students are seeking to harm one or the other, or involve intimidation or any coercive behavior, or any situation in which a student is considered to be in a vulnerable situation, that is considered bullying. It's like a threat, basically, you know. And granted, bullying also can happen not necessarily inside the building, but can also happen outside. But I think that trusting that if how many incidents within a school safety, let's say, have categorized them as a bully incident, because bullying can escalate to so many things. Bullying can even be happening in social media, you know, besides inside the school. And let's say that two students are communicating via, let's say, Facebook, and there is a vivid issue that they bring into the school, and then the school, you know, one of them trying to intimidate the other or harm the other as a result. But bullying is usually a consistent pattern, which is very, either it's about intimidation, about harm, and where one of the students is facing a very vulnerable, you know, kind of, I would say, a scenario. I don't know. But what can I say? I think that the best is just go with whatever, you know, the superintendent office in our district, like, you know, Superintendent Ramirez. If we can talk to the district and find out exactly about how are we doing when it comes to bullying, that would be a good thing to learn. And also we can see the parents meeting, parent association meeting, and we can learn and hear from their parents to see how many parents, you know, may have a story about the, you know, bullying. Because remember, even if the district come up with a percentage, we are always going to have doubts about the number, and it's all right, it's fair. We don't have to believe everything we hear or we read. In fact, we don't have to necessarily believe everything that we that anyone else, you know, says, but we respect that. So Emily Martes. Thank you, Domingo. Yes, Emily.
So I have a question, because you did mention a lot of really important issues, including the bullying. Like, even though I'm not in the committee, but I'd be even willing to help. Is like how you would approach these issues. Are you gonna like prioritize whichever ones you guys could think you could take initiative on? I mean, I know that I'm working on this too in my committee as well, in Housing and Human Services. We also have like a list of things that we could address, but getting started on one of them and like following through, because there's so many things that we could do for all of them, is the issue that we're having. So I mean, you guys have great ideas. So I'm kind of curious to see like which ones you'll take initiative on and see if I can help, because I have so many teacher friends as well. And yeah.
Well, thank you, Emily, definitely for, picking back with us and for all the things that you just said. As I said at the beginning, before I volunteered, all this, urgent challenges that, the department is facing. And unfortunately, as I say also that they have so much room for improvement, but that's something that it's been the outcry of the community, many communities in New York City, advocating for those issues. But I personally would like to, among so many things that we have touched, discussed, I think bullying is one of my favorite. And I also would like to discuss, I would like to find out exactly the status about the DOE versus the charter school, because I know that a lot of students are switching to charter schools. Although we may have tons of thoughts about that, I have a lot of ideas why they are. I'm not necessarily going to go into detail, but perhaps I just wanted to say that since this is a parent decision in terms of the school system losing students to the charter school, it may have to do because of some of the issues that I just mentioned that need to be addressed in our school system that I feel that are not addressing properly, because we've been I personally be talking about those issues for decades, I can say, because when I used to be at the CC, if you go and you check some of the minutes, even the recording, you're going to find me talking about those issues in this committee as well. And not to mention the problem with homelessness, because we have a school that a lot of students in our district that are sleeping in that are homeless, or they are in shelter, whatever, because even in shelter is homeless, they don't have a place, So, and I didn't mention that. And we had actually 2 forums on that to address that. I mean, it's so many issues. But personally, in answering your question directly, I would like to have that conversation if my colleagues agree, of course, but they're free to choose whatever the majority wanted to discuss, I will go for it. Bullying, I think, is something that we need to address, and we would like to know exactly what is going on between the charter and the traditional school. Remember, we have part 2 of charter school and DOE pending. I hope I have answered your question, by the way, Emily.
And my recommendation with the charter school question is, I think we should be able to start looking at something similar to like a liquor license, where there's a certain square footage where they have to be away from schools. The oversaturation of charter schools in our district is a bit disheartening. Like, this is the community where you probably have one of the biggest concentrations of charter schools, and literally they're opening right next door to schools. So for instance, you have, like, even within let's say the heart of the Heights, which is 181st, right? Within that corridor, you're looking at a church that's going to be converted into a charter school in 181st and Fort Washington. Those are the talks. You have TEP, you have another school opening up in the hotel tower. So I think it's very important when we look at it to identify what issues we could challenge, right? And then, while at the same time, yes, it is a choice, but similar to a lot of the laws that are in place, even to businesses, right? You can't just open next door to each other. You can't open 20 businesses of the same thing next door to each other. So I think it's important, like, when we look at these challenges, that we identify one issue that people come around. And I think the fact that they're so close to each other and they serve the same age groups is important, not necessarily because you're pro or against charter, but because it creates a very, I don't want to say hostile environment, but the DOE recruitment strategies are not the same as charter school recruitment strategies. So while the DOE is not recruiting outside of charter schools are recruiting outside DOE schools. So I think to level out the playing fields, you have to create some sort of separation amongst all of them, where you create equitable lines so that folks are not necessarily targeting public schools because they understand that there's limitations in outreach for some of these public schools.
Thank you. Well, that's a very valid point. Yes. I think that in addition to what we have, since we owe to have part 2 of this event that we already did, we can definitely incorporate your thoughts. We can collectively further discuss this, not today, of course, but we also may wanted to see what other Cali may think that we also should be part of this conversation if we agree to have this anytime, or when we're going to have this. So Maria, I have Maria, but we have to move this conversation because we have Brian, our officer called Brian from the school safety, and we need to hear from him. Maria, you will be the last question that I will actually.
I just wanted to add something.
Jason Cohen has a question. Yes, Maria.
I just want to add something about what Jonathan just talking about, about how we should be looking at another issue, which is the opening of storefronts or stores where they're going to be selling the marijuana, businesses, that they should be
to bring the conversation,
not to have these places near schools and things like that, where the children are going to be, looking into those windows all the time. So I think it's something that we need to also take a look at when we are not giving legal licenses to businesses where they are within 200 feet of a school or a church and things like that. I think we should be looking into this particular issue about the dispensing of marijuana as a social.
Maria, marijuana has the same regulations as the liquor authority. So they're going to be, there's a footage distance requirement on all of them. So similar to the liquor authority, you can open a cannabis store of 500 square feet from a school.
Yeah, but how about the implementation of this thing? No one is going to go with a yard measuring how many feet are away from this other thing. From
the same way they implement liquor.
I discussed that. There was a report on that on the just recently. Well, that's going to be in the minutes, so we will follow up on that, Maria.
And also, I wanted to know how many schools in our district are going to be talking about the ugly thing that happens within their school, building. Bullying is something that no principal wants to acknowledge that there is a problem within when they are lacking security or they're not allowing the security to be implemented in some school. So that, we have to be looking at that. Nobody wants to talk about their ugly,
we know
their family.
We know, Maria.
Okay, so I just wanted to, it's not that going to be easy having a school says, okay, I have a problem with bullying.
But that doesn't mean
the principal is not doing their job. It means that the teacher is not doing anything, and and so on and so on. So I'm just, it's not going to be so easy to have that particular issue discussed in public.
Allow me to, it's just take it this way. We need to inform the public because that's our role or part of our role, and we need to educate ourselves. And with that in mind, so we're gonna, we have to switch, we have to change the agenda. Actually, we have, there is someone by the name Jason Cohen.
Yes,
can we promote him, please? Jason, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, please ask your question. Yes.
Guillermo Perez has had his hand up for a long time.
Well, we called you, but you did not respond, darling. Okay, Jason, and then Guillermo, briefly, because we have another.
Yeah, I'll be really quick. I just wanted to make a quick
Thank you, Jason. Thank you.
I am I worked in both charter and public schools as an administrator. I also, now I'm an educational consultant, and I work with supporting schools with transformative justice. And I wanted to just make a comment that both issues are connected with the bullying and the varying options of schools in our district. You know, schools get allocated money based on how many seats are filled, and the bullying is symptomatic of a much larger issue, right? There are inequities and insecurities that are impacting families, and hurt people. And so schools are not really equipped to tackle this issue due to budgetary restraints. And I really think that, you know, we need to get more family involvement and parents organized around this, because without, you know, students in seats, schools don't get funding. And so the more families are organized and driving for change and threatening to leave schools if they don't change, it really will create more leverage and movement around this conversation. Thank you for the time. Again, my name is Jason Cowan. This is my first time here. So I really appreciate, you know, the conversation, and I look forward to coming back and being, you know, a support to whatever we decide to do here.
This is great insight, Jason. Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, I hope that you continue enjoying us. Thank you. All right. Let's say who is the last. Guillermo. Yes, Guillermo.
Okay. I've been listening to the conversation. I think it's been very interesting. Interesting at the beginning of the year. All right.
Briefly, please.
Okay. All right. Do I have a time, or
you don't have much?
Can I leave it for the next?
Because it's already 8:30 and we have a school safety. But tell us exactly.
Yeah, but I have my hand has been raised.
We called you and you did not answer. I'm sorry. So please don't worry about it. Just tell us what is in your mind, please. I'm waiting eagerly to hear from you. Tell us.
I will. Okay. We'll give a call tomorrow personally, so I need to speak to you. But at this point, what I see is that there is so much information tonight, and everybody, you know, not only Luis, Domingo, Jason, and the young lady that is been, you know, participating. But until we don't have a table work meeting, that we come together, let's say the Saturday morning or any other time, not only waiting for this meeting, this Zoom meeting, to have all this discussion without making a plan, following up, what are the priorities of this committee throughout the year. Let's say we've been talking about the bullying. If that is one of the main topics, we need to put together a plan that we're going to, study step by step, discuss this, make the investigation, and at the end of the year, we're going to have a good open forum with the community, bringing young people, bringing students, bringing parents, principals, teachers, bringing the president, bringing everybody together to have a real conversation. But if we keep going over and over again about this type of conversation without making a final plan, what is the final plan with this discussion? What are we going to do at the end? What products are we bringing to the community in terms of bullying? It's my main thought about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Guillermo. I just wanted to say to you this. This is the first time that this committee go in length discussing bullying, as you said. We had touch base, but not in depth. So bullying is one of the subject among 10 of them, if not 11, that I brought up today for the rest of you to consider it. Wherever we as a majority decide to go, we're going to go with it. It's not going to be perhaps decided today, but we can have a conversation after this meeting. I will follow up via email to gather your individual thoughts And I'm going to repeat those subjects on my mail. Now, sometimes, you know, folks, that I have sent you many information, but getting a response sometimes takes time for some of you. So we're gonna leave that as that, and I will follow up with you. But I want to thank you so much for your comments, and the rest of you who had, you know, volunteer, you know, your thoughts on this. This is a very important thing. The good thing is that we are in agreement that among this topic and whatever else you wanted to add it up to this conversation, we need to collectively consider it, what exactly we would like to address among all these challenges. Because granted, we meet throughout the year 10 times, and I just had volunteer 11 subjects. So if you decide that we can tackle a subject each month, you're welcome. But if you think that you have something else that you want us to consider, I also open to that. So when I send you again the list of all this, let's reflect on what we have discussed tonight. Think about it, and whatever the majority want to, the majority will have. So we're gonna leave it as that, and we need to move now with our agenda. So is that fair to say? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, I guess this is yes. All right, so thank you, Guillermo. Thank you, Jonathan, Maria, Emily, of course, everyone that, you know, had actually, and Jason, of course, that had volunteered their thought on this. Now, I'm going to go to open up the new and old business. So, and I wanted to call Officer Cole Bryan. And Cole Bryan, officer, are you still with us?
Hi.
Yes, thank you so much. And I know it's been kind of, you know, long wait. But let me just refresh the mind of my colleagues and also those that are newly join us for first time today. So about, you know, the conversation that we about to have with you. So what happened is, and also perhaps for your own information as well. So in last month, we learned that there is a new policy that has been implemented in the Department of Education, especially I understand in our district. The policy has to do with radio channel in school. As you know, which is used between which is used for the school staff to communicate with public safety officers that are on the premise or in the premises of each school, right? So what happened is that, just to give you like a kind of elementary, example, when there was a issue, let's say there was a fight in a particular a school, let's say on the 5th floor or on the 4th floor, we have a school safety on the 1st floor. So all the staff have to do, or the principal, whatever was in charge, is just to call downstairs through the radio that they use, communicate with the officer downstairs. Please come to the 4th floor or come to the 5th floor. There is a fight. We need your help. So, and that was fine. They find way to resolve or to interject in the activity. So now I understand that staff are not longer required to call the school safety on the premises directly. So there is the police are required then to call. I believe that they have to call over the phone. But that's where you're gonna come into place and tell us exactly how is it. Tell us about this new policy that was implemented. How the staff, when they encounter into a student incident or fights, whatever we want to call it, how exactly is that the staff is supposed to contact school safety, and where school safety they want to come? Are they out of the building? They remain on the building? And tell us about this new policy and how this policy came into place, please. And thank you, of course, for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. So To get into it, basically you got to understand the history of the old policy. So the old policy was pretty much how you described. The DOE staff would communicate via radio to the school safety agents. Every single school safety agent, whether it was 1 assigned to the building or 10 assigned to the building, would be connected to this DOE channel. From there, if they required further assistance, they would need to switch channels to the radio and then communicate with school safety agents that are in our central headquarters. They would take the information and would then either forward it to 911 or would be able to go over a precinct channel. So the problem with that is that takes very often minutes, and minutes can mean the difference between saving someone's life and not saving someone's life. So what ended up happening is the police commissioner, along with Chief Laren, school safety commanding officer, decided to streamline the process. So I'm going to go over what the policy is now to make things easier so you guys understand. So if it's a one-man school, a one-person school, where there's one school safety agent assigned to the school, the new policy is that agent is assigned 2 radios. One radio is connected to DOE. One radio is directly connected to an NYPD central dispatcher. So if DOE has to go over the air, they can still communicate with the agent, and then the agent would go over their other radio and would be able to directly communicate with an NYPD radio dispatcher. This NYPD radio dispatcher has instant access to any kind of personnel required, EMS, FDNY, or NYPD personnel. They can get it instantaneously to that agent. Now, if it's a multi-person school, meaning there's 2 or more school safety agents assigned to the school, the way the policy works is very simple. One agent in that school will always be connected to the DOE radio frequency. So DOE will always be able to contact an agent from any school at any time through the radio. The other agents that are assigned to that school, they will be on the channel of the NYPD channel that will be able to get the help if needed to FDNY, EMS, or police personnel if necessary. What we have found is this has been saving tons and tons of minutes on jobs where school safety agents have needed assistance because they're fighting with students, fighting with parents, and they're able to scream over the air and get the NYPD personnel to the scene to actually be able to de-escalate the situation a lot quicker than what used to occur. That's really the policy that we have in place right now. So it's, again, DOE is always able to contact the agent. It's just not now, not every single agent is connected to DOE personnel. Only that one agent is connected to DOE personnel. Every other agent is connected to an NYPD personnel. And the most important thing for you to understand is, before the policy took place, if a 911 call job came in over the air to 911, the agents before this occurring would have no idea about that 911 job occurring. Now the agents are able to get those jobs in real time over the air and hear the job that occurs at their school, that a job is coming over at their school, and is able to respond even before police personnel are able to get there. So that's basically the policy. So I'll take any questions if you have on that.
Thank you, definitely. Thank you. And let me ask you. So according to what I understood, so it seems to be like now will be more effective from a school safety responding, but although seems to be more effective, but I wonder that don't you think it might be a gap between by the time that a school safety responded? And okay, by the time the school notify school safety, I think it's just they have to contact through a phone call, right?
No, so they can. I'm not saying they can't. They can either call 911. They can call the agent direct through their department cell phone, or, as I stated, at least one agent in every single school will have a radio connected to DOE personnel.
Oh, okay. but the presence of a school safety still remain in school, in the building,
Yes.
at the premise.
Yes, and
It's
one-
not that
at
they're gonna
least-
come from somewhere else.
No.
Okay.
No, you will still have agents respond from that school, but NYPD personnel will also be able to come from outside along with other school safety agents as well. But each school will still have at least one school safety agent assigned to it that will be able to hear chatter between DOE personnel and will be able to communicate with DOE personnel direct as well.
And the event that any incidents, while the school notify already school safety, let's say that the officer in the premise at that time, so are they allowed to interact immediately, or they supposed to wait until it's the school safety, the one that is supposed to arrive from outside, is supposed to interact first, and the one that is in the building? I don't know how to put this question.
It's
You
kind of
understand what I'm trying to say?
I do. It's kind of a broad question. I can't really specifically answer because each situation will be different. We train the officers to respond. Now, if they require backup, that a situation they can't handle, it may be tactically better that they don't immediately respond. However, we usually find out that they do respond quickly and they get the information and they are able to call for further for further assistance if needed.
Because what I'm trying to arrive at is at the situation that in a particular incident, let's say it's something that is urgent, that require urgent attention, but the officer that has been notified in the premises may not interact or arrive at the scenes waiting for those outside that are supposed to come first and deal with the problem first. In other words, the officers that are in, okay, let's bring George Washington, for example. We have a school safety on the first floor. Let's say hypothetical, there is an issue. The principal call a school safety, whoever they're gonna call, because of the new policy. So the officers that are on the first floor, as they has been always, do they have to wait from the outside, from officer that may arrive from outside, or they can immediately interact?
No, they can interact just as they normally would.
And
they should be interacting as they normally would.
Oh, okay. That's very important, because I thought that they have to kind of witness, but wait until the outside, officer, arrive.
No, and we have not seen that occurring. We've seen agents actually responding just as they normally would. We haven't seen them sit back and wait for extra personnel to come.
And let me ask you something. A school safety, all these report that a school safety managed in school, is that information that you share with the public, or that has to do only up to DOE to share?
What information are you talking about exactly?
For example, those incidents that happen in school, are you allowed to share that with the public? Let's say that we as a committee ask you, school safety, how many incidents have you faced throughout the year 2022 in different schools in New York City? Just an example, hypothetical.
So in regards to the stats that school safety has, that is public information that gets released. I'm not sure how often it's released, but like the crimes and everything that occur in the schools, I believe the weapons that get recovered in the schools, that's all publicly held information. As for DOE reports, they don't even share those with us. So that's a whole nother beast in itself. But anything crime related or weapons recovered, that is public information, and you can easily find that on the internet. I believe on the NYCD.gov site, they should give that to you. But if you have a specific question about a specific school, you could just reach out to me and we'll grab the information for you.
That's important to know, because there is a lot of skepticism that people feel that the school system have when it comes to report a statistic, because DOE is very safeguard in terms of what information they share with the public for whatever reason. But I suspect that has to do probably with funding and looking good all the time. You know what I mean? But this is just an idea that, I heard and I personally have found throughout the years. Not everything they necessarily make it public, and I can understand and respect that. Now, I want to allow my colleagues to ask questions. You answered all my questions. I wish I can ask more, but we don't have much time, but I can always, I can contact you on the site. And I want to thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yes. So we have Maria and we have Jacob. Yes, Maria.
Well, it's a sad day that we have to have police officers in the school. It's a sad day that we have parents that are allowing their children to go and school instead of getting an education, trying to see who is bigger and stronger than the other and beat up another thing. I think that if we put this in context, we should not have police officers in our school. They should be outside trying to protect those terrorists or people that wants to start shooting schools and things like that.
Let me just,
I don't think that as a parent, I will hate to have, my child, my little terrorist or my little criminal, to be that information about he or she be given to the public. I think that they are minors. The Department of Education is not going to allow that information to be shared with the public. And I think that they should be using you officers in other areas as opposed to controlling the element that we have in our school system. And that goes to say that the principals are not doing the job, the parents are not doing the job, society is not doing the job. So no matter how many officers you put in every school, this will continue because some of those young people, I want to say, they want to show off, they want to say, you cannot control me, I'll do whatever I please, because as a matter of fact, as a minor, they're going to get away with it. So, it's really sad to have someone in the Department of Education having officers patrolling or taking care of situations within the school. So that's my position. And I, working with the police department as I do, I think they should be displaced in other areas and not on the school places.
Well, I understand and respect your opinion. This is just a statement, not a question, actually. Yes, yes. All right, so let's have, I just wanted to say before that, Maria, that yes, I quite understand that, but this is more serving as a point of order, because one thing, I'm not saying that I agree or disagree or having police officers in a school, but look at the incident that we have, 6 years old with a gun, he could have killed that teacher, but we're gonna leave it that as that. So Jacob, yes, your question.
Thank you. My question is actually very simple and hopefully shouldn't be too hard to answer. I really appreciate the detailed description of this new policy. I think when we first heard that this rolled out, there was a lot of concern about how this was actually functioning, but your explanation was very clear. And I can see that from my perspective, as long as this is saving school safety officers time and making sure that folks can get the help they need quicker, that's ultimately cutting down on communication problems. That's great. My question is for you. I know you mentioned earlier at the beginning of this meeting that you're filling in for your colleague. I wanted to know if I could get your name one more time for a minute, because I did earlier.
That's pretty easy. Hopefully I can answer that one. It's Captain Michael. Last names are going to be C as in Charlie, E as in Eddie, G as in George, E as in Eddie, L as in Lincoln, S as in Sam, K as in King, and I as in Ida.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So do we want it to pronounce the name too?
It's Sigelski.
Okay. Well, thank you. Yeah. No, what happened is I called you by Brian because that's what it shows on the
yep.
And that's what I was expecting. So I should have you identify yourself and.
It's okay. No problem.
Yes. So, Jacob, do you have any other question?
No, that was it. Thank you.
Guillermo, Luis, Jonathan, Domingo?
I'm good.
Any question?
No questions.
Okay. So, Jacob, so you have the information. And by the way, I'm gonna need a volunteer for the minutes. So I just want to make sure that any question or any information that you may need, so now you ask before we move. So nobody have any question?
I actually have to jump off. Does anyone have any more questions before I go?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to.
Can we get the contact information of the police officer? What is your number or
Oh,
email?
who's speaking?
Marina Martinez from Literacy Inc.
Oh, yes. What is your question, Ms. Martinez?
Oh, yes, I just want to know the contact information of the police officer, Mr. Brian.
No,
Which-
Brian, it's the name that is, I can send it, well, Jacob already, so we don't have to spell it again. So Jacob, you want to spell the name for her?
No, not the spelling, it's the contact information, like the phone number.
Oh, the
and
contact, the
email.
contact information.
Contact information.
Yeah, contact him. Is that, I hear
My-
you so far away.
I think you have the email address of the officer. You can send any information to him. So he does our community outreach. So he'll be
Yes.
able to answer a lot of your questions in regards.
I have that information. I can send
Yep.
it to Brian, and Brian will reach out to you as well, in case
Yep.
that he may need to.
Yeah,
Yes.
if he needs anything, he could just reach out to me.
Yes. Okay, Ms. Martinez, I get you the contact information. Send me your, excuse me, send me your email, please.
Yes, can I put it in the chat or not?
You can put them on the chat, or you can, yeah, put them on the chat as well. Yes, I will I will definitely copy it and paste it in my record. So thank you so much, officer.
Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
You too. Thank you. Bye. All right.
Thank
So
you.
now let's continue with the open up for the new business. We have, let's see who's next. Okay, Miss Duambia, did you wanna share with us a little bit any more information, any announcement that you may have?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Thank you again
Yes.
for taking the time and having me speak. We do have a couple of initiatives upcoming. For those of you who don't know, January is Human Trafficking Prevention Month, and we do offer human trafficking presentations to both students and parents and any community groups who would like to have them. February is also Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month, and we offer presentations based on scenarios that teach youth how to identify red flags within their dating relationships. And it's a very engaging presentation that we give about, we typically have about 50 presentations that we do each February. So we are always looking to increase that number and engage meaningfully with you all. Again, as I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, we are going to be accepting applications for our high school internship program that we have every year. Applications open at the end of January. And Faye, I can add you to our email blast list so that you can distribute it to your board members. And again, we look forward to creating a pipeline and partnering with you all. So thank you again for your time. Do we have any questions about any of our programming?
Any question, guys? Well, I don't have a question, but I do have suggestion. So going back to our previous discussion in regards to having youth involved in, let's say, community engagement, let's call it that, because that's exactly what we want to. Perhaps we can definitely develop that partnership with you as well in the work of the duty that you are called to do, or the position that you are exercising. So I look forward to, working with you, our community, working with you, and whatever we can be helpful. So definitely, we would be more than happy to work with you.
Thank you, Faye. We appreciate the support, and likewise, anything we can do for you all, any concerns that you have, I will be your point person. And again, I look forward to getting to know you all. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Louis has a question for you, I think. Louis?
Hi,
Yes.
Louis.
I don't have a question, but I do have an announcement.
Oh, so then, okay, okay, I will come back to you when I finish. Yeah, definitely. The next person. So again, thank you, by the way.
Great, take
Yes.
care.
So now we have Arlene that she had also an announcement that she's waiting for us. Then after Arlene Lewis can come. Yes.
Yes, well, thank you everybody for everything that's been said. Quite interesting, and it's also interesting that I, as a mother, I resonate with everything that's been said today. But let me go straight to the announcement. As Jazz Power Initiative, we are a Northern Manhattan nonprofit organization that looks to transform life through jazz arts, education, and performance. And we wanted to say that our spring program for the youth is coming up in March. I'm glad that I got to be in this meeting because, as all of you said, we are lacking support for our youth regarding high quality education and support for their development. And we would like to say that as Jazz Power, we feel that we are a very good complement for the DOE, for charter schools, and for just the community in a whole, to provide students and kids with high quality education in jazz arts at no cost to the family. So I am gladly sharing this news that we have our spring program coming up. It's a 12-week program where the kids will be trained in jazz voice, dance, and theater at no cost to families. And it's going to be local here in Inwood. It's going to be in the Holy Trinity Church, right there in Cummings, near Seaman. And we are super excited that our kids here in the Uptown area have this access where teachers that are renowned jazz teaching artist, Miss Antoinette Montague. We're going to have also support from people like Miss Annette A. Aguilar, Dr. Eli Jamin, who is teaching voice, our theater teacher, Kena Onyeyekwe. So we have a great staff, and all of this is totally free for our youth. So please pass by jazzpower.org. There you can find a button that says Open Studios registration, and once you hit that, you can have two options of this first step to getting into the program, which is assisting to one open studio. One is in January 19th in Alianza Dominicana Culture Center at 6 and the second one is February 2nd at Holy Trinity Church at 4:30. So please get your kids signed up. It's from 10 to 17 years old can participate and take advantage of this great opportunity. I'm gonna name drop a little bit. We recently got some support. One of our supporters is the National Endowment of the Arts. We are very grateful that they have recognized our mission of keeping the legacy of blues and taking it to the heart of who created it. You know, the Black, the African Americans, and the Latin American, of course, has done a great work on jazz. So we're going back there to the community that started it all and training the kids in high quality programming. So please visit jazzpower.org and get your kids signed up. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Arlene. Thank you very much. So guys, do you have any question? Statements? All right. Thank you, Arlene, so much. Now we're going to have our colleague, Luis. Luis has an announcement. Luis, please.
Yes, begin your journey by registering for the 33rd Prison Explore program. The 33rd Prison Explore program is looking for new explorers. The Law Enforcement Explore program provides young men and women of the city of New York diverse communities with an introduction to a career in the law enforcement system and the criminal justice system in which they offer police training, leadership skills, discipline, life skills, teamwork, character building. The requirements are the program is open for ages 14 to 21. You need to have good grades and you need to be passionate. So join to the NYPD from the 33rd precinct. For more information, please contact Officer Jorge Sanchez at 917-319-1582 and Officer Rodriguez 917-971-0804. Thank you.
Thank you, Luis. Thank you. Okay, anybody else may have an announcement? Let me see, I'm reading out the messages. I misplaced my panelist link. Oh, I'm sorry, Jacob, that I just see your comments, but well, you with us, obviously. Let's see what is the next announcement. Well, I wanted just to say that at the end of this month, sometime we may have probably our planning committee just to identify who is going to be there or want to be part of the planning committee for the annual event Youth and Police Building Bridges. More to that, I will send you an email to give you the details. Other than that, I wanted to say or encourage everyone that the announcement of the Congressman Adriano Espaillat, he's going to have his special his 2023 State of the District address. This is going to be held on Sunday, January 29th at 2 p.m. It's going to be from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. The doors are going to be open at 1 p.m. and this is going to be held at the forum that is located at Columbia University. The address is 601 West 125th Street. And I guess that you all may have an idea. This is the state of address. This is important to hear, to attend, so you know exactly what has been his accomplishment, direction, basically, I would say checks and balance. What has he done and what is the projection for this year? So anyone that really wanted to learn, I highly encourage that you attend. Let me see, Guillermo. Yes, Guillermo?
Yeah, just a question for Luis. If he can have my email and send me any flyer that he has to promote the youth at the precinct. And I would like to have it. I don't know, how can I give him my email? And he can send me any information, or if you have his phone number that I can contact him and have a meeting with him. I'm involved with some, some youth through our International Association of Lions Club. They have the Leos clubs, which are, very powerful youth that are doing a lot of work in the community. And I would like to see how can we put something together.
Great. Well, you've been many years in that institution that I know. Yeah, that would be great. Yes. All right.
Sharing the flyer with the community board and also with Ms. Florimon. That way we can promote the program.
Thank you, Luis, and thank you, Guillermo. All right. So very last, I just wanted to share with you to stick around for our next meeting. We're going to have the Wheel School, the Wheel that is located in Audubon and 182nd Street. They're going to come to give us an update and their initiative about creating a school streets. That they've been in a huge agenda, and they've been very consistent trying to change the area of 182nd and Audubon Street, the whole blocks. It's a tough call, and it's a tough initiative because it requires a lot of consistency and hard work. So they're doing all that and more than that. So they're going to be next month with us, and they hopefully going to give us a presentation as to where they are. so we can meet them at wherever they are and find out how we can help them and support their agenda. And remember, this is centering in youth environment justice, which is something highly important, so we can lend our ears and see how we can cooperate with them. So they're going to be with us on February 13th with us. With that said, I don't know if anyone has any other announcement before we call the meeting to for an adjourn. Anybody else? I see that Martinez, yes, you have your hands, I mean, you have your hands up. Go ahead.
No. I just want to know if we want to present, if one of my colleagues and myself want to present on behalf of our program Literacy Inc. What is your contact information?
You don't have any the email of anyone in the board, including myself, like the staff?
No, because I registered directly through the Community Board 12 and I placed myself in the mailing list. So I guess that's my first time coming to this committee.
Okay, I'm going to put my my email on the chat. You send me a request. Let me see, I cannot do this. Martinez, okay. Florimon at jjuni.edu. So there you have my email. It's on the chat. Hopefully you will see it. Send me a request. Send me the name of the presenter, the title of your presentation.
Oh, Florimon, JJ.
Yeah, just copy and paste it.
Okay, great.
Just copy and paste it. Send me your request. We already, as I say, we have Will, we have other folks. Send me that immediately, because if you delayed, chances are that we may have to postpone whatever presentation you may want it to do. So if first come, first go.
Yes, I will let you know, because I need to consult with my supervisor.
Remember, you send me the title of your presentation and who is going to be presenting.
Okay, I will let you know.
Yes, it would be much appreciated.
But I will let you know, okay?
No problem, no problem. Whenever you think that you are ready, but the sooner the better. And if for some reason you cannot do it you cannot make your presentation, and you can always do it in March, or or whenever you think you feel that you're ready. But just let us know in advance to make sure we have you with us. Okay, Callis, so I only want to ask you again, assistant with the minutes. Doesn't have to be perfect. Whatever you can do, it would be much appreciated. I want to thank you for everything, especially for being today with us and be so vocal and lending us, your ears. So thank you so much. So I would like to call a motion to adjourn the meeting at 9:11 p.m. Can I have a second? Who seconded? Jacob?
Second. Second.
Okay, thank you. All right, meeting is adjourned. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you, Maria.
Bye.
Good night,
Thank you
guys.
so much.
Good night. Bye. Thank you.